Hello, Ben. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good, and you?
I'm good. Welcome. Hello, Israel. How are you doing? Welcome, Harun.
Hi Dan, hi guys.
Uh,
So there's the Cardano monthly meetup going on at the Blockchain Center Nairobi. So
okay,
we might not have many people attending from there.
okay. It's okay. It's still okay. The video is being recorded, so yeah, they can rewatch it after.
Okay.
Let's just give a few minutes so other people may join. Let's give 4 more minutes before we start. Welcome, welcome, 8 Pro. I was speaking while my mic was off. I said welcome 8 Pro and welcome Oliver.
Thank you, Aaron.
Hello, Israel. Hope you're doing well.
Is someone talking?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. We are still waiting for people to join. Maybe in 1 minute we'll start. Okay. Yeah. Hello everyone. My name is Dan Baruka. I'm developer advocate at Intersect. Our role is to help new developers, not only new developers, it's to help developers to start contributing in open source project in Cardano, and answer and participate in your learning in case you have like any question that what we are really doing is to help you understand how to start contributing in core repositories in Cardano. Today's session we'll be talking about how the smart contract interact with the UI, with the front end, we can say. How does the front end interact with the smart contract? We'll also have a short demo using our previous like repo. We have an open source repo where we do our few tests. So after the presentation, we have a very small demo on how the smart contract interact with the UI or front end, I can say. And we built a very small smart contract using ICANN, and we used CoreOS as provider. We'll see that in the demo after. So maybe let me share my screen first. So we go through the session. After that, we'll do a very small demo, and at the end, we'll have maybe questions. I'll share my screen. Hope you can see my screen. Yeah, okay, good. So today's session, we are in Q2 2026, session 16. We'll be talking about UI or UI front end interaction with the smart contract. We'll see the full. We'll have the all of the full overview and the general flow, how it really works behind the scene. What interacting with smart contract means on Cardano. So interacting with a smart contract means spend one or more UTXOs, including script left, because we are talking about smart contracts. So we may not miss word script. So it means spending one or more UTXOs, including script lock UTXOs at the script address. When we are talking about script, we are we refer to the smart contract. Providers are like redeemers and datum as required by the validator in the smart contract. Satisfies script conditions. It means that we need this. We need to meet all smart contracts requirements before anything. Um, uh, like when we are talking about smart contract, we mean that we need to satisfy the script condition or to meet all the smart contract requirements. And the last one is to pay fees, and yeah, using ADA as well, as we know. So the validator run during the PX validation. Uh, I won't go deeply in how the smart contract itself works, but I'll just show the end-to-end. You have the smart contract, you've built the smart contract, or you are just a front-end developer, how you will interact with the smart contract. How will you pull or fetch data and write data in the smart contract? So this is the end-to-end flow, high level, I can say. You have your front end, your front end, or we can say the UI app using any framework like React.js or Vue.js, any UI. The first thing will be um, to uh, to implement the wallets. In this case, we are using a browse wallet like Lace or Eternal or Nami. The role is to build, like to sign the transaction, not to build, to sign the transaction and to submit the transaction. What build the transaction is the SDK. Any SDK can build here, like Lucid or Mesh.js or Blaze. The main role here is to build the the transaction, not the smart contract. We supposed to we're supposed to have the smart contract deployed in the on-chain. So here you are just building the transaction, and you can use providers like Blockforce or Koios. In our case, we'll use Koios, and most of those providers are open source and free to use, mainly in pre-prod and preview. Even in mainnet, you can use quite huge amount of transaction before you start paying anything. For the second role of the SDK here is to evaluate and simulate the transaction using, again, the same providers. You can use the same providers to do this task. The last one will be now to submit the transaction. Now, after submitting the transaction, you'll have the confirmation. You will see how it really works and what does it really mean in the demo as you are going. So here, you'll have back the confirmation plus a number of confirmation, like 10 confirmation on chain. We want to highlight one point, that the wallet usually does not build the transaction. It only mainly sign and submit the transaction. And as I was saying, the role of the SDK is to now to build the transaction and to provide to handle most of logic behind before submitting the transaction. So in practical, we need to have a list of stuff implemented, well implemented, to say that we can fully interact with the smart contract. The first one will be the wallet itself. So with the wallet, we request request access to the wallet. Like when you are using a browse wallet, for example, you need to have access on it, like to call it, to have stuff like network ID, addresses, UTXs, collaterals. Because we are dealing with smart contract. So you can it automatically behind using behind you can detect and collaterals and signed data, stuff like all data you really need to use in the project. The second thing is to fetch on-chain state, like unspendable UTXOs, because when we'll be doing a transaction, we'll use UTXOs and change addresses. App state, like for smart contract now, we'll need like a script UTXO to span, reference script, datum or redeemer schema, and token metadata. Specifically here, we're talking about custom tokens. Like I minted my token, and I'm using this token in the smart contract. So we may need this because we really need to have more information about the token. So we also need the token metadata as well. So last thing, which is optional. Yes, Oliver.
Yeah, Dan. Please, just asking if this one is being registered, because I think it should be like a good resource, maybe for others who will not attend.
Yeah, of course. We the video the session is being recorded, so yeah, you can have the video after. Maybe by tomorrow, the video will be on YouTube as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I was saying the last one, which is quite optional, is to request some information about the tokens here, because if we are using, for example, a custom token, we'll need to fetch information about the token, like we'll need to have policy ID for the asset, datum hash for the smart contract, a script address via an indexer like Kupo or any provider like Koios we'll be using in the demo. And the third action will be to build the transaction. So we have a couple tasks we need to do behind the scene to make sure that we have built the transaction. We can evaluate. Sometimes you can bypass this one. It's not mandatory, but if you are going in production, at least you need to pass by here as well. But you can fully interact with the smart contract without evaluating without using passing here in this step. Now you need to ask the wallet to sign the transaction, because you need to sign the transaction using your keys. So yeah, it will ask you to sign the transaction, and the last action will be to submit, and then we have fully interact with the smart contract. But here you can see this is a general on-chain activity, like on-chain transaction. But especially when you are now interacting with the smart contract, where really are you interacting with the smart contract? We have our first option, which is quite recommended. We have the user, we have the UI app, we have the wallet, the user's wallet. We have providers like Blockfrost, Koios, or Maestro. For us, we'll be using Koios, which is open source as well. The last one will be the network itself. So how does it really work? The user do a deposit request, like click using the UI to enable the wallet. So it's like connecting the wallet in the app. After that, you'll need to get, I don't know if you are seeing, I can zoom in. If you're not seeing it very well, I can go with this one. So it's quite clear. So the second action will be to get UTXOs and get address change. I hope you remember what we said there when we were in the step of connecting the wallet. You'll need to get UTXOs of the wallet and the change addresses as well. The fourth action will be now to fetch script UTXOs plus datum query. And that will use now here our provider. After that, we need to build the transaction and signed transaction, because this is locally in our back UI. You'll do all steps listed here. input, output, everything. This is the step here. The last one now you'll evaluate, which is not mandatory but recommended. After that, you can escape this one. You'll still have your transaction submitted on chain. So the last one, the seventh step will be to sign the transaction. To sign the unbuilt transaction here, we built here, but we need to sign it using our wallet. Once we sign the transaction, we'll have now the transaction which is signed, but unsubmitted. Now, in eighth step, we'll submit the transaction again using our wallet. Once submitted, now we have our transaction on chain, like in the network. And from here, we can like still querying the transaction, seeing the number of confirmation, like 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the recommended option, but we also have another option here, like you can go and read this like pro tip, like if you want to implement this option pro way, you need to read this, but I'll quite go fast because we still have the demo to do. The second option is to have an hybrid building by using backend Composite TX and wallet sign. For example, you want to sign the transaction like directly. You have your wallet. You don't need to like you need to use a backend to sign the transaction instead of like calling the wallet every time. So this is the schema. You have the UI again. You have the backend API as a TX composer, and which will interact with the providers as well. And the other side, we have the wallet. It's quite the same, but you are building using the backend API. This is the only change between this one and this option. Yes, Harun. Yeah, Harun. You.
Oh, sorry. I was muted. So, can you go back to option A and please clarify a bit the main difference between option A and option B and what the TX composer does?
Okay, so especially here in option A, let me zoom in again. Hope you can see very well. The option A, you can see we don't have any backend. Like you are directly interacting. The UI directly interacted like the UI interact with the either wallet or provider or network. There is no backend in middle. So there is nothing which is handling the building of the smart the transaction. Here we are just interacting like we can say without any how can I say we don't interact with any other stuff except wallet, provider, network. But here we can handle it by if you want like the backend produce an unsigned starboard. We have this. We have discussed about this in our previous session. If you do a research, you'll have it. Or partial, like you have constructed a transaction. You construct the full transaction, but here the UI itself like generate the unsigned transaction using SDK. You see, because here we are using SDK, but here we are not using SDK. We are building our own transaction, our own ourselves. We don't use any SDK like Mesh.js. We can build it behind on our using our backend. So, I don't know if it makes sense.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. What I'd like some clarity on is, so what would we store in the backend, in the database?
We don't store anything. When we are talking about backend here, it doesn't mean we have like database or we are storing anything. This backend API that help us. It's not even an API. We can say it just to help us to build the smart like the transaction, because here we are building the transaction using an SDK. It's like a library which is already implemented, and you just install it and build the transaction directly. But here we don't have it. We just build a fresh transaction using our module. It's like a module that helps us to build our own transaction. If we want to customize a building transaction, we'll use we can say a backend, but it's just a module that helps us to build that transaction without using any SDK, pre-built SDK or library, as we are doing it here using SDK. If I come back here, we can see that building a transaction, we are using SDK, but in option B, we don't use SDK. We just build our own module. We call it backend. That will help us to build transaction. That's what I call EX Composer. Yeah. I hope that clarifies your question.
Yes, it does.
Yes. Okay. So the option C will be the server side. For example, I want to. I usually do it when we do, for example, distribution, or we want to do what example can I have in my head? For example, you want once someone do a specific action to send him something. So in that case, we want the backend to build the transaction and to sign using those two options, which is hard security what is it again? Let me check. I read it down here. This explanation. We have give me a second. Okay. The first one will be a hard security module, which is, for example, Ledger. You want to send a transaction using a Ledger, or you can even use a key management service. Using a key management service, you don't need to use, for example, wallet, browse wallet, or you don't need to use extensions wallet. You can directly build the transaction in the backend side. Like you don't need to call a wallet, and you can see in our schema here we don't have any wallet directly. So how does it really work? The UI request action from the backend. Our backend will build to help us to sign and submit the transaction. Our backend without using any SDK, and here you can also add an SDK. It's optional. If you want, you can keep your backend to build the transaction. After building the transaction, the backend will send the request to sign the transaction using our key management system, which can be a wallet, hard wallet in your computer, or using a ledger, for example, to send the transaction. The next action will be to submit the transaction using exactly. Now, to remember for our option A, the wallet will sign the transaction, but here the backend will sign the transaction using our key management system or hard security module, and it will submit the transaction directly in the network, and then we'll just using our backend query the hash and see the status of the transaction. Those are the three options, and we don't only have three options, we have many other options, but those are the three main options to interact with the smart contract, and it's really look like a very similar transaction when you are sending a very small or sending any transaction on chain, but here we are interacting with the smart contract. We have like SDK in tools, like you can mix and match, but you can also just pick one. For example, here we can like using our front end TX builder. We have Mesh.js, Lucid Evo, or Blaze. Those are the common choices in the ecosystem. We also have node bridge like evolution or submission. Ogmoios, I don't know if I pronounce it very well, which help us to do the TX evaluation and submission plus real nodes behind. Like you need to have at least a node behind. Like, yeah. We also have UTXO indexing like Kupo, which help us to query script in the smart contract, script UTXOs and datum hash efficiently. Hosted provider, we have Blockfrost, which I really use in production, and Koios. And we also have Maestro. They are free. We never pay for them to do any transaction. In just you start paying when you have like a very high amount of transactions. So like common UN, like here I will escape those steps because I really need us to focus on the demo. I don't know if we have any question at this stage before I jump in the demo. If you have any question, feel free to ask. So meanwhile, I'll be running my project, my demo project. It's no longer mine because it's open source and everyone can like use it for testing. Even the smart contract is included. So if you want to, you need to connect the wallet. For the demo, we'll use preprod and recommended to use preprod because this is just an open source project. Yes, Harun.
Just thought I should point out that there is really Cardano Foundation library that helps with this process of connecting a wallet to a website, the wallet connector.
Yeah. Thank you, Harun. It was it was not a question, Harun, right?
No. I was just adding, like I thought it was useful information. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Harun.
It is actually recommended that you use that rather than creating your own connection.
Exactly. Yeah, because they have done a lot of things behind, so no need to build your own. Now here you need to connect the wallet. I've used Mesh wallet connector, and so I do have the two wallets here. You can see my extensions. We have Yoroi and Lace. So yeah, I've connected my wallet. I do have this balance in my wallet. We can check it out. Yeah, okay. Okay, this is okay. This was the equivalent in the current rate in US dollar, but this is my ADA, my TP test ADA balance. We can also see that we have this project. In case you really want to use it, I think, I don't know if there is a, I will share let me share directly the repo. So if you want to clone it, fork it, and test it on your end, you can do it anytime. Everything is update in the main branch. I'm just putting the GitHub repo directly in the chat in case you want to test it. So we've been building this project together since I think 4 months ago. So we know we have this dashboard where we do transactions, and we don't only do transactions, we can also attach even custom or minted tokens. In this project, we also have the native tokens minting options. You can mint your own token here and provide all metadata. It works because last time we tested and it was working, unless we had few quite error behind, but it's still working. And if you check, you can still see the token we minted last time, and we did some quite transactions. But today we are going to talk about smart contract now. So this is a very small smart contract we built using ICANN. It just helps us to see how to interact with the smart contract. So first, if you want to interact with the smart contract, especially locking and stuff like unlocking, mainly it's recommended you go to the smart the wallet and settings. You enable the collateral. Where is it again? Where is it again? I usually yeah, just here. You need to activate this when using when interacting with the smart contract on Cardano. So yeah, it may send some error in case you don't activate it. So it's recommended. It's even like recommended to keep it activated in case you are usually dealing with smart contract. So our smart contract is live on chain, deployed, and you have the code. Let me, if I can also show you where you can get the code. Hope that I do have it here. Let me close my yeah. I think this is. Hope you can see. You can still see this screen. What are you seeing on your end? Can someone talk? What are you seeing on your end? You're still seeing the project, okay? You're not seeing the code.
Yes. We're seeing the smart contract, yes.
Okay. Let me just open the repo here so you can see it from. Yeah. I just want to show you where you'll find the smart contract code. And please, if you want to contribute, you just fork it and do a PR in case you want to add anything in the project. So this is the repo, and you can see in the root folder, you can see I can own a lock. So you can own like you can lock and unlock the smart the tokens using this smart contract. So this smart contract using ICANN, and again, I won't go really deep in this code base. I'll leave you the time. In case you want to go deeper, you can just request one of our one-to-one call. Like I want to go deeper, or you request one session to go deeper in the smart contract. But I'll come back here. We can check that we have the smart contract script on chain. So let's take it in our Explorer. We can see that our smart contract has a balance of 55 ADA. Let's check it in our front. We can see we have 10 ADA, 2 ADA, 12, 15, plus 13. But now I think I've used the same smart contract to lock previous amount. So using a different wallet, but again, we'll see if something changed in the smart contract. Let's lock, as I was saying, the smart contract will just help us to lock and unlock the token. It's just a very small smart contract. We can go with any amount. Our balance here, let's check again our balance so we know. Okay, we have 963. Let's go with 63, for example, here to see how it works. So we lock 63 T ADA, and I will sign the transaction. Let me show you guys how you see how I'm signing the transaction. Are you able to see this? No. I hope no. You won't be able. You can't see my let me see if you can see it. You are still seeing the app, right? I want you to see.
Yes.
Yeah, I want you to see my wallet. okay, I'll just sign the transaction, so we'll check it online, on chain. I mean, let me sign. Let me put my password. Mhm. Even in pre-prod, I have a very strong wallet password. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, I hope that's okay. Yeah, you can see that I've locked the amount, but it will take maybe 1 minute to be listed here or less. I mean, yeah, it's already here. So we can check it on chain. You can see we have 0 transactions, but this is not what this is a very common. This is what we usually see transaction hash. But one thing you don't usually see it when you are interacting with the smart contract. Instead of like sending the amount in a specific address, we are sending the amount in the smart contract address. Again, let's see. Let's come back here. We can see that this is our smart contract wallet, like smart contract address, I can say. And when you are coming here, you'll see that we've used the same smart contract address. Let's click here and see if the balance have changed. You can see now we have 118 ADA. And we can see the last transaction was amount of 63 ADA inside our smart contract. That's really how it works. It's really quite easier to interact with it because it has like normal general transaction on-chain transaction. What needs you a lot of things? Where you spend a lot of time, it's when you are building the smart contract because you need to handle all logics behind. Because here, if we had a lot of logics behind and we did not meet any requirement, the smart contract will like failed. Because just here we just want to lock and unlock, no, not without using any or without having a lot of like conditions behind in a smart contract. We just want to lock the amount in the smart contract and unlock it at any time. So if you are trying to unlock this amount, you won't be able because the requirement says that the only guy who wants to unlock this amount is the guy who lock it. So that's the only condition I added in the smart contract. So only me and my wallet can unlock this amount in the smart contract. Again, if I want to unlock, for example, the 3, because I don't want to unlock this, you say, okay, you choose what you've done just now. Let me use the previous one. I can unlock the 2 ADA here. I'll just click on unlocking, and I'll have again my wallet, which has a very strong password, even in pre-prod wallet. Okay, what was my password again? It was something like, okay, yes. Yeah, we can see that unlock and submitted, wait for confirmation. So it will take like quite long, like not long, less than 1 minute to be on chain. Let's take it directly on chain here in the smart contract. If something happened, still nothing. Still nothing, but let's wait because we'll have here the one out the same as this one. Let's wait until it confirmed. It's still submitting. So the unlocking has quite a lot of conditions because I need to make sure that the one who locked will be the one to unlock directly in the smart contract. Okay, confirmed on chain. Yeah, I check. Yeah, we have it here. We do have the 2 here. And you can see that now we have 116 instead of 118. So that's really how it really works. And using like providers, it's very, very simple. So once you have it, you have the smart contract, you just need to understand what are the outputs, what are the input to use to interact with the smart contract. I think that's it for today, but I'm here to wait for a few questions. So any question about the transaction itself or the interaction with the smart contract, I will come. If you have any question, feel free to ask or raise your hand. Any question? So yes, Oliver.
Yeah, thank you again. Really, I'm happy for such as sessions. So the question is about the CBOR. I think I don't know CBOR. I don't know when or in which case are we can we use it? So I didn't understand there. Well, I don't know even if we can use it for simple transaction or whether it's requested only for smart contracts.
Okay, good question. The simple answer is it's used for general transactions. So any transaction, you can use it. It helps you to build the transaction. So yeah, you can use it for a smart contract or a very simple transaction. We do have a question, might be a bit unrelated, but do you deploy the smart contract on chain? Yeah, we do deploy. You can't interact with the smart contract if you did not deploy it. So to interact with the smart contract means that you have the smart contract deployed and you have the smart contract address back. To have this smart contract address back, you need to deploy it. Yes, Harun.
I just want to add on to that. So what happens is when you're writing your smart contract in, let's say, Haskell or Aiken or whichever programming language you would use, I'm sure most of you are aware that once you create it, it is immutable. So what you do is you would build it like you would build any other project. And after you build it, it would generate Plutus.json file. So
Exactly.
that JSON file now is the smart contract build that you would use in your on-chain code to be able to interact with it.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Harun, for that. And I will have it maybe somewhere here. We'll have the Plutus, something like this, okay? Plutus.json. This is how it looks like. You do have it in the projects. If you want to go and check it after, you can just read the smart contract after. Yeah, thank you, Harun, for this add-on. Any other question? We still have like 15 minutes. So any question? While waiting for questions, after this, like if you want to review and review the session after, you'll just come in the DevX portal and check the session 16. You'll find it here, recording. The recording is not yet because we are now in this live session. But by tomorrow, I think we'll do have the recording session here, like I think like this session. So you have something like this. You can rewatch it here. And for resources, you do have like many options here. You have CIP informations in GitHub. You have like Cardano developer portal here, where you'll have all information about how to build a transaction. You have smart contract documentation. I can mostly use now and quite easier to implement if you want to build your smart contract. We do have Plutus documentation here. All the references and resources are here. Off-chain and TX building, like using Mesh.js, for example. I usually use Mesh for me. I like all of my demo test, I use Mesh, and I think Harun will do have next session will have AI implementation or something like that. Can you clarify that? So maybe people may need to know that by today.
Yeah, for next week, but on Thursday, we'll be preparing a session to possibly showcase how we could use AI to fast track the building. As much as most of it is not completely reliable, at least we're at a point where you can at least do one or two things successfully.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So our next session, it will mainly be Harun, but we'll be doing together, I think. Yes, Oliver?
Yes, then I have a little bit question. This one. So I've been building some DApp, and yeah, I used ICANN as a smart contract language, and yeah, this DApp was like an ecosystem, and yeah, for transactions. So I've been working on pre-prod, and for transaction, I've realized that yeah, for example, it was like an escrow between a buyer and seller. So the buyer is able to lock funds in escrow, but after all, fund don't go to the seller. And yeah, my question is about, so where are maybe these headers, this test header, where are they going, and maybe so what will be maybe the sort of them, because they didn't maybe come back in the buyer's wallet.
Okay, now we are going back in the smart contract logic. When you are saying the seller and the buyer are using the smart contract to like exchange either like one the buyer deposit the ADA in the smart contract, and the seller will receive the ADA in his wallet after meeting such a requirement, like such a some requirements, right? So what happened when you are sending that ADA in the smart contract? That's why we are showing here the balance. The smart contract hold the amount in the smart contract. The only way to release this smart contract, this amount, is to meet all requirements. That's the only possible way. That's why we are saying smart contract, because we don't need a third person to say, okay, I think this is okay, we can just send it back to this wallet. No one will do that. Only the smart contract will understand that all requirements are met. Now we can release. So if the money was not sent back to the buyer, it means that one of requirements was not met in the smart contract. And again, there is a way to release that amount using governance. You can add a layer of governance stuff where you'll say, okay, we can still vote on this action to make sure that this amount will be released even the requirements are not met. But in general, most common way, if the requirements are not, you don't meet the requirements, you not send back. In case you say that the only way to release the amount is the sender or the buyer saying, okay, yes, I release. If the buyer never as long as the buyer will never say, I release the amount, the seller will not receive the amount. So the smart contract is working with conditions. If the conditions are not met, the money will no longer go in the wallet. So you'll never release the amount, or if you are not able, the amount will stay in the smart contract. So your question was where the amount is just stored in the smart contract. So you'll still check the smart contract, you'll see the amount. If there is a condition saying that if after 24 hours, for example, and the buyer did not receive the money will be will send back the money to this. If the seller never receive the money after 24 hours, the money will be sending back to the buyer. That's what the smart contract will do. So if you never implement that option, the money can be locked in the smart contract indefinitely, like never go out after that. So before going in the main net or in the production version of the smart contract, make sure that you have all those possibility to release the money after certain condition in case the condition are not met in the smart contract. I think that's the answer for your question. Or you want more clarification on something specific?
No, this is good. Yeah, I understood. But you talked about maybe like governance. I don't know, in order to have maybe those funds. So I don't know. Can you tell me a bit about that? This governance. So if it's governance, I didn't maybe catch you well.
Yeah. So for example, we have the treasury on chain in Cardano, for example. So in order to release the money, we need to pass by the governance, for example. Okay. People will vote. Okay, we need to release this money and to do this job. The same way you can implement the governance in the smart contract, saying that we are able to vote on something, like on one action, and if we have the approval, the money will be sending to X address. You see, it's like just a level of implementation in the smart contract where you know that we have a high risk of losing such a certain amount. We can implement governance level in the smart contract where when we have, for example, some balances locked in the smart contract, we can like say, okay, we have a voting happening, and that will help us to release this amount from the smart contract and sending in the treasury, for example, wallet, or in the owner wallet, for example. It's just one of the possibility to release the money in the smart contract, because if you don't have, you did not implement something which will allow you to release that money, the money will never be released from the smart contract. That's what it means. So you need to implement it. It doesn't come natively in the smart contract. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome. We still have 5 minutes, so if you have a question, feel free.
Yeah, please, Dan. Maybe. So I don't know. Maybe as you are maybe an experiment, or according to you, when someone want to build maybe an app which will use a smart contract, what is your advice on which step on which to start? Maybe front end, back end, or smart contract. So how do you think about that?
If you are going to implement a app and you'll use that smart contract, I ideally recommend to start with smart contract, because the smart contract will provide the general logics for the UI. So I recommend you to start with the smart contract. Yes, Harun?
Yeah. Well, I'd say mostly it depends on the type of project you want to build, but I'd agree with Dan in that most of the time, yeah, it's good to start with a smart contract, because so that at least you can get the information that you'll need for your front end. However, you might be in a situation where you want to prototype rapidly. If you want to prototype something real quickly, and maybe want the final version as with a smart contract, it might be advisable to first of all start with a normal Web 2 process. Like, let's say an example would be something to do in the MRV space, like traceability. If you want maybe to build something to do with that traceability, because they're very different, and you want to prototype quickly, and you want to get it into the hands of users fast, it might be advisable to first of all maybe try the Web 2 way, because you maybe don't know all the data that is needed to be stored in the smart contract beforehand. But if you do know the data that is needed to be stored beforehand, yeah, sure, go ahead with the smart contract.
Yeah, thank you, Harun. I think it's Pro. Do you have a question or add-on?
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. So I'm not really interacting today because I'm not at home. I was just moving and hearing through my phone. Thank you, Dan and Aaron, for the good expose. I just wanted to ask a question. It's related to how someone can differentiate when you want to build a smart contract, like knowing this piece here can be saved off chain and this one on chain, because sometimes when you're working on a project, there are some small piece of data that you really don't know if it has to go on chain, or you can just save it on your maybe on your local backend if it's a smart contract which will need also some off chain storage. Yeah, that's a bit my question.
Yeah, I totally understand. I totally understand your question. And when we are in the Web3 space, we store very less information. So we store very, like I can say, we store a very small amount of information in the backend just to help us to fetch data very quickly. So for me, I really recommend most of time to not store metadata or like how can I say? I really recommend it to store, for example, transaction hash, wallet transaction hash or smart contract addresses, not stuff like personal like informations like name, numbers. What I can also recommend, if you have a huge amount of metadata to store, you can store it in the decentralized storage and attach the metadata in the transaction. But what's really you can save in your local backend, you can save like maybe transaction hash, because it will help you to very quickly fetch transaction from specific users. But again, no need, because we still have indexes. But if it's a hybrid, like hybrid platform where you need to interact, for example, with data, like you want to implement a transaction in e-commerce, for example. In that case, you need to just when you are doing on-chain transactions, you'll just need to have ID of the user, for example, attached to the transaction, stuff like that. But don't need to really. For me, I really recommend all of my project. I don't store personal information in my backend. In the Web3 space, we really don't store personal information, but anything else, you can still store it, because it really depends on a specific wallet, on a specific user. Even you don't really know who is who and what information was stored in the in your backend. So you'll just choose personal information to keep it maybe in the local storage in your browser, not storing it in the yes, Harun, give me a second. Not storing it in the database, but if it's an hybrid application or DApp, hybrid means you need to store a lot of information in the database. So I think in that case, you can store anything you want. But if it's 100% Web3 platform, I recommend you to not store personal information unless it's really needed. Yes, Harun?
Yeah, like I have nothing to disagree with. All that is very, very accurate. Just maybe to simplify it, and maybe as a rule of thumb, if you see your datum is getting too large, possibly you can maybe consider converting them into hashes and maybe storing the hash itself in as a datum and a reference now in a database or IPFS storage or similar.
Yeah, thank you, Harun. That was the I think one of the best way to store more data on chain. Like in case you see that you now have a huge metadata, you can just hash it and store it on chain as well. So you have all the information hashed. Yeah. We are at the end, but if you still have any question, you can ask it. You can ask it. We can answer it right now. But after, if you'd like to discuss with anyone, yes, Wednesday, okay. If you'd like to discuss with anyone, one of our developer advocate, you can find their contacts here in the README of the developer experience repo. We all have our calendars and our contacts here. Yes, I saw a hand raised, or it was by mistake. Okay, it may be by mistake. So yeah, thank you very much for being here today. We are at the end, officially at the end of the session, and I'm really happy to spend this time with you guys. And yeah, thank you. See you next time. In case you have any question, feel free to reach out at any time after.
Thank you, Dan. Good day.
Thank you, Harun.